Hey, entrepreneurs, let's talk about how to turn some of those productivity bottlenecks and frustrations into gold mines. There's something I've been thinking about, an idea inspired by Tony Fadell. He's the guy that created the iPod and the Nest thermostat. And he talks about the importance of falling in love with a problem rather than the solution. And it got me thinking, what if we apply that idea and that mindset to the productivity challenges that we face instead of just rushing to the first surface level solution? So here's the challenge I'm giving you this week. Stop just trying to solve the productivity problems that you face and start mining them. Treat them like gold mines. So let's dig into that gold that's buried beneath those productivity bottlenecks, because they're pointing towards things that usually can have a bigger impact if you look at what's beneath. So here's the first step. I'd like you to think of one recurring productivity problem, something that bugs you. Maybe it's feeling that you constantly have too little time to get through your long to-do list, or shifting priorities, or just feeling exhausted from too much decision fatigue by the end of the day. And whatever you're facing, just pick one thing, but make it something that's a recurring productivity challenge for you. And now, instead of just trying to fix it right away, I want you to take a different approach this time. Let's reframe the problem the way Tony Fadell would, and treat it like the problem is like a diagnostic tool that shows us where to focus. He says that's where the real innovation happens, is when you get really curious about the root cause and you're looking at first principles. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to ask yourself why this problem keeps showing up. And don't just stop at the first why. Let's ask that question 5 times. So each time you start to peel back another layer and get closer and closer to the root of what's going on. So for example, your to-do list feels overwhelming. Why does your to-do list feel out of control and overwhelming all the time? That might be your first why. And maybe that leads you to the second why, which is, why am I adding so many things to my to-do list? Maybe the answer to that adds you to the next why. Why do I not prioritize this list before I dive into it? And maybe the answer to that question leads you to think of the next why, which is, well, why do I always rush instead of slowing down to think? And what you'll notice is that each time you ask why, you get a little bit deeper. And here's the interesting thing. Ask yourself how you benefit from the problem sticking around. Sometimes you find solutions or insights like that. Sometimes procrastination protects you from facing tasks that you don't feel psychologically ready to tackle. Or you might have decision fatigue, and your series of why questions makes you realize that, essentially it's a sign that you need to have a system for making choices, especially for recurring repetitive decisions about where to focus your time, for example. And once you've dug in deep and you've mined for a root cause, I want you to make one small, meaningful change. If your tasks lack clear outcomes, define what done looks like before starting. If decision fatigue is the problem, then try to systematize your routine decisions so they don't drain your mental energy so much. And as you work on this, you might have the sort of aha moment that Tony Fadell talks about. By falling in love with the problem, you might realize that you've been chasing quick fixes, and instead you might start to unlock more of a long-term improvement. And then the bottleneck that frustrates you ends up becoming an opportunity to transform your system for getting things done. And that's where the real gold is. That's where I want you to look. So your challenge this week is to embrace your bottlenecks, to love the problem, and to let it guide you towards noticing, discovering solutions that will not only boost your productivity, but also create lasting improvements in the way you approach business and the way you approach understanding yourself. Good luck, and I'll see you next time.